Hi, good morning. Brother, all the ungs have been up here, right? Brother Gan, Brother Hak Singh, and of course, Mr. Pillay, whose shoes I have to step in and will never be able to fill, so I will still counting on you, and Pu Hua, and everyone here. Right, so Maurice, thank you very much. I don't know how did I ever say yes to do this such an important keynote to such an important audience while I was vacationing in Croatia somewhere. I don't know when you between you and Liansim when you got me. All right, but for such a topic, for such a group, how can I say no? All right, so I can only say I will give a small note because Mr. Ang Hak Singh already, stole all the thunder. All right, but stole all the thunder meaning is good. That means even though I had jet lag and got up at 4 a.m. this morning, okay, my brains were still working. All right, I was going to talk to you about the importance of stewardship in our charity and to encourage all of us that we got to just keep walking the way. I know sometimes it's tough, all right, because we always must start with the mindset. Start with the mindset that we are not a charity case. Individually, every employee as well as our charities, we must not become the charity case and therefore everything to the lowest denominator. So I actually thought of 4 things that I wanted to highlight to re-emphasize the importance and of why shared services, of course I've got to congratulate SSC for your 10th birthday, happy birthday, all right, and many more to come. All right, and continue to be that multiplier for the rest of the industry. But few key things. One is already touched on by Mr. Ang, capabilities. Right, we will never have all the capabilities within any charity. Right, and even at Caritas, whereby we have 27 Catholic charities under Caritas, we also still say we cannot have sufficient capabilities, and which is one of the reasons we are very pleased to have had a very good partnership with SSC, in various ways, sometimes in annual work that needs to get done, which is outsourced to SSC in collaboration, and also in especially a very good experience that we've had, whereby we wanted to do a stock check on our processes, and we identified 3 particular areas, and SSC did a very good job for us. All right, so why I highlight this, there are always resources and expertise that is needed. Charities, we have to be very, very honest with ourselves. I know most of the times we want to feel that other people want to check on us, right? But because I got to give this pitch to all of my Catholic charities as well. Everybody will say, mine's a little bit different, mine's a little bit different. So from a capabilities, we will never be able in every area to have all the capabilities that we desire to do the job well, which then gives us a tick mark against our stewardship responsibility. So that's one. So if we think about capabilities, I just highlight a few. All right, from Caritas experience, like I mentioned, when we wanted to do an internal process review of some of the key processes as well as some of the key initiatives, I believe we highlighted 3. All right, we actually seek the support of our longtime partner, all right, SSC, to help us, right? 2 good benefits. One is outside in view, all right? Sometimes you see yourself, and the more you see the same thing, Second thing, if you get the people who actually do the job, they will obviously tend to justify and rationalize. So an outside in plus the expertise that they bring in. And in this particular case, that was one type of work that needs to be done, all right? Second point I wanted to highlight, so capabilities, there are many. So processes, accounting, payroll, HR, these are the kind of things whereby if I ask us to be very honest, most of the charities, you go back and find one name, Mr. XYZ, and he got 5 jobs under him. Wow, these fellas, all our charity guys walk on water. Right? They are the expert in IT, they are the expert in accounting, they are the expert, if we are honest. So from a capabilities perspective, I would almost say, besides accounting, HR, payroll, new areas that will be able to help do the changes that Mr. Ang alluded to. One of the key things is fundraising. All right? Fundraising is an art and a science, plus cover with the governance that's needed. So, I mean, for small charities, do not be afraid sometimes to actually look for other people with the capabilities to help you set it up. All right. Now, I'll speak from Caritas experience. All right. All our 27 charities, one of the reasons why the Catholic Church put together an umbrella organization like Caritas Singapore is so that, hey, the fundraising in inverted commas can be consolidated with scale, with the proper governance, and across the board for big or small charities within ourselves. All right, and taking Mr. Ang's point, from a community perspective, I'm sure there are capabilities that can be leveraged on. The other area that in recent years, I find that many of my Catholic charities within Caritas are seeking help is even in communications or social media or website. All right, okay, everybody feel that they must have. Everyone must have. Can't help it, right? We want to be a smart nation. All right. So have a lousy page better than no page. But we don't have to be, how shall we say, don't have to think ourselves as charity case. We can also be good if we get the right kind of support. All right. So within Caritas, that's what we are trying to provide as some form of shared service advisory to our charities within our ambit in terms of marketing and social media and communications, and including, how shall we say, response, when there are crisis responses, etc. Because not all charities, even some of the bigger ones, have all of those capabilities. All right, so those are some of the capabilities I wanted to highlight. The other area, of course, is governance. All right, and having shared services, one of the good part about governance is that that it's proven and tested. All right. Number two, it is transparent. All right. It is not going to be dependent on your Mr. XYZ staying with you forever. And sometimes a Mr. XYZ staying with you forever doing that same job is actually not a good thing. All right. In the private sector, you will make sure that there is rotation. All right. So from a governance perspective, I think this it is really important that some of these key areas. And for us at Caritas, one of the key things is we encourage all our smaller charities. Definitely don't have half a guy trying to do your accounting. All right. And for us, some of them actually outsource to SSC, and the others on a lower scale from bookkeeping, etc. All right, outsourced to Able Seas. So let me explain, which is another potential area for collaboration to create that one community. All right, Able is one of our organizations that actually focuses on helping the disabled. All right, the physically challenged. All right, taking them from rehab to training and return to work. So that's why Able Seas was created, whereby, thank you very much. Wow, did I look like I was thirsty? Thank you so much. All right, so Able Seas was created whereby the people, our own beneficiaries on wheelchair, all right, were actually sponsored to be trained with their bookkeeping certification so that they can actually do work for Able Seas. All right. So in that way, it is really charity within charity, but for your beneficiaries to actually become participating in the work. Right. So if you have a chance to come to Agape Village, they've actually set up the facilities there, and they are providing such services for several other charities. Mostly it's charities. And can these again be a collaboration? Definitely. All right, because for that group, the scale can never be that huge, but it is really part of the mission, all right, to help the own beneficiaries return to work. So from a governance perspective, we have found that, once you got some you have outsourced your capability to such shared services, the higher chances of things being transparent and problems being highlighted early, which we have, sure to have. The idea is we got to catch them all before it goes to Mr. Ang lah. Right. So then that is good governance. Because if any of us say there's absolutely no problem, then definitely there are problems. Better go back and check. All right. For me, I've got this paranoia. If you give me a chart full of green, I say got problem. All right. You got to give me some whereby there are problems, orange or red, and fix them. Right. So that is governance. The other area that I think that I wanted to highlight about, stewardship and therefore creating value, both from a charities perspective as well as, shared services for charities, not only your organization, but all shared services for charity, is this whole thing about talent. All right. How to keep the experienced people. All right. That's where I meant by we must not make ourselves feel like we are a charity case and that only those who cannot find jobs come to charity. Only those. I'm not talking about the social workers. Those, they come with the heart and then they go all out. And don't ask them to go and do the admin stuff. So that's why we got to professionalize all the other part of the back office, which is one of the challenges, right? Which is three things. I would almost put the first thing is talent. How are you going to attract the talent and how are you going to get the talent to stay in all of these areas? Which is another reason why there is a value proposition for shared capabilities to be built up within our sector so that the sector can support the sector to actually grow regardless of your own individual size. All right. And from a talent perspective, where there is a group that is put together, at least you can be more sure, all right, that the resources and the skills you need to get the job done will not be dependent on the mobile feed of the guy whom you have hired, gave him 5 different areas of job, and then he might not stay, right? Because where is the career path, all right? And we always, I know, for charities, when we are thinking of hiring, we always first think is you must be charitable. You join a charity, you expect only salaries of peanut butter, and you must be like giving. No doubt it is true. You want to have the right spirit, but we must not make our own staff and our own talent feel that they are also part of the poor. How to help the poor if you are also the poor? Even though you can, if you really truly are the poor, then as charity should be like Able Seas, try and help them to participate in the ecosystem, to be able to do meaningful work and have the dignity of work, right? So from a talent perspective, that is another key reason, from our experience at Caritas, right, that the magic is when the smaller charities start putting up their hand, can you help me? Okay, let me not pretend that I have to go and have an internal audit guy myself, because I will just have 10% of the guy. All right. So in fact, at Caritas, we have just hired one, started because potentially we will outsource certain areas, but at least you must take accountability and responsibility to get the thing started and have internal strategic governance on it. So internal audit is one of the areas that we are working on. And, I'm sure after I heard from Mr. Ang, there are other folks whom we can work with, including SSC. Right. So that's talent. And then lastly is about impact and measurement. All right, we all want impact, right? But I was going to use the word love, cannot see. Okay, can see, cannot measure. All right, I know, we'll have big discussion after this. Same thing with charitable work, all right? I know we want to measure. I don't know whether you all have the same, how shall we say, experience as me. When you talk to the real social workers, they can't stand you talking all these KPIs and metrics. True or not? Right? So how do we make sure that there is a system, all right, of bringing the heart and the brain and the hands and the legs in one body of work, all right? And this is an area I would challenge us as a sector that we still got work to do. First things first, data. For years, we will say we got no data. We got no data analytics. We do not know what is going on. So come on, guys, why don't we do something about it? All right. Individually, a bit hard to do about it. But collectively, can we do something about it to move towards that one community? I mean, this should be quite a good area from terms of data, really understanding our social sector data, as well as applying research. Because can you imagine reasonably large, small charities, forget about it, research is not even in their vocabulary, all right? But let's just say, reasonably larger charities may think of doing some research, understanding unmet needs, etc. But if individually do it by themselves, again, we'll be repeating and everybody repeating and always only a small slice of the situation, of the landscape. Is there a way, again, in terms of from an impact perspective, we can have a more collective sense? And this one, I will say, all of them are work in progress, but in this particular area, I'll say we really, really can do a lot more just to get ourselves lifted up. So those are a couple of areas I wanted to share with you of why I also feel that, whether you call it productivity, call it bringing value, call it creating capabilities for charities to uplift ourselves in terms of professionalism in all ways, as well as, most important, talent and people. All right. Those was what I was going to share. But I was also going to share with you the experience that we had, at Agape Village, just in line with what Mr. Ang talked about just now, about bringing different charities that work on different areas of aspects of needs together under one umbrella. All right, so in Lorong 8, Toa Payoh, we built Agape Village. All right, and at that time, Mr. Pillay was the chair of our trustees, also gave the blessing that it's the right thing to do, right? And we were super blessed because that was SG50 time. So our fundraising to build Agape Village not only touched the heartstrings, but even our financial strings were all nicely blessed. So we were able to actually raise funds to build Agape Village, within the 2 years. Now, Agape Village has 7 or 8 different of our Catholic charities housed there. All right, you can say housed there as tenants, or that means just using the space. That was not the idea. The whole idea was with our 27 charities, some looking at the poor, some looking at the young, some looking at the elderly. Usually the problems are multifaceted. How do we have an integrated case management, an integrated approach in looking at who we serve, rather than send them off to this guy, send them off to that guy, send them off elsewhere? So that's what we have done. And our view is that actually did not be just limited to our own Catholic charities. So we have already started inviting all of the charities in the Toa Payoh area for quarterly, sharing sessions. All right. And hopefully through the sharing sessions, the bond will be built and, it will work another step towards the journey of that one community vision that Mr. Ang shared with us. So, our work in this space of creating value won't end. All right. And every day having to reflect on our stewardship responsibility. I know and I'm confident that with all of the efforts around, whether it's public, private and government, all right, we will gradually get there better and better, all right? But important, I would like to leave with you, and at least from our experience, it must be based on some principles, all right? And I can only share with you from our Caritas experience is that, we base our stewardship on our Catholic social teachings. And when I tell you these teachings, they will all sound pretty non-religious minded, all right? The dignity of the people, all right? The dignity of who we serve. Let's not forget that. Sometimes we do, in the rush of the work, the problems and everything else, we sometimes do forget why we serve. All right, all of us have different reasons for why we serve and why we are in the sector, but for us at least, we will say, hey, why we serve must be motivated by, the love, the example of whom we follow. All right. And key thing about love will be on the human dignity of the person, the dignity of work. Just now that was mentioned too, which is the reason why ABLE does what it does, in creating ABLE Seas, and then of course participation. There are many other principles, but if I got to highlight, these will be a few. The participation of both those who are in need as well as participation in order to create the common good. So with that, let me wish happy birthday again to SSC, and congratulations on a great round. And I'm sure you're going to continue to multiply and help our sector grow even better and with stronger values embedded. Thank you very much.